to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to the Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
It's Saturday, and we've got a new time here. We're going to be here at 12 o'clock today with you. My name is Florentino, and this is the Changing Stage powered by WS Radio Network. And we are in partnership with Music Power, the company that delivers all the cool music gear to you at the right prices. Anyway, hey, we've got some great guests here. This show is going to be all about the manufacturers local here in San Diego, these companies that are really out there doing it, making great gear, and are just out there trying to get a little bit of word out there to you. So the first guest we have is Marty Moore. Marty Moore is of Moore Basses, and he is, I've got a chance to play a couple of his basses, and these things are amazing. Marty, say hi.
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming out, and we've been wanting to, have you out here for a long time, and we finally got a chance. You're a busy man, and things have been going good for you, from what I understand. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Busy is always good. So.
Definitely. So we actually, ironically, met on Craigslist, which is funny. I think the same thing with Dave. That's one of those amazing sources for connecting with people, right there with Facebook. And I just seen your basses there, and I thought, man, this is really cool. Let me call up Marty and see, what it is about his basses that really kind of get people to be interested in them, and why players play them. So I figured I'd call you and bring you on the show.
I'm glad you did. It's kind of funny, the Craigslist ad. I was at Bass Bash up in L.A. during the NAMM show. Mm-hmm. And I actually had a couple of people walk up to me at that show going, I saw you on Craigslist. So if anybody ever tells you Craigslist doesn't work, don't believe them.
It does, man. It does. So with that said, man, you've got a great history. The basses are amazing. They kind of remind me of Limbic basses from, they've got all the bells and whistles that you can do right on the bass. And what made you design the bass the way it is? And we're going to put some pictures up for you folks online right after the show. And let's also give a plug to More Basses.
More
Basses.
www.morebasses, or more-basses, I should say, .com.
There we go. All right. So with that said, tell me a little bit about, why you built the basses.
Ever since I started playing bass, I started out using a Rickenbacker bass that I bought fourth hand. And I was always looking for that different kind of sound.
Yeah.
And when I decided to retire that bass and I started looking for something else, I started, and this, we're going back to early 80s at that point. So, and the Limbic actually was about the only other thing around. BC Rich, I believe, was still kind of a newcomer at that point. But that's where I started. I picked up one of their basses and I played it for a number of years. Great instrument if you've never played one. And very heavy instrument, though.
Yeah,
very, very heavy instrument.
You definitely have to do your back exercises with those.
Yeah, and that's kind of what's led me into building these. A number of years ago, I started looking around, and I wasn't happy with a lot of what I saw. And I used to remodel houses years ago.
Okay.
And that's where I got some of my woodworking skills from, or at least the confidence to use the different kinds of machinery.
Remember that, musicians, if you're working in construction, you too can learn how to play a bass and make one.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I was in a store, actually, I don't know if you remember Bass Alone.
Oh.
I don't.
I thought in Voltaire, right?
Yeah.
I live in OB, so.
Okay.
There you go. I went in there to play a boutique kind of instrument, and extremely nice, loved it. And that kind of got me looking at the boutique style basses. From there, I was in Guitar Trader of all places, and they had a used Marlowe bass on the wall. And it was kind of funny. The guy that was waiting on me didn't even know what it was. He had no clue. And so I tried that out, and I'm sitting there playing it, and even though it was used, it was still really expensive.
Yeah.
And as I'm playing it, I started uttering those famous words that get you into trouble. I started looking at it going, I could probably build one of these.
Oh, man.
That was the end of it right there. That was the end of it. And that started me down the road of building basses. The design that came up with, as a lot of people know, is heavily influenced by a German bass maker, Jens Ritter.
Okay.
And I mean, it's a little different, but not much.
We were just talking about this earlier. I really like the fact that you can do a lot of the dynamic controls right on the bass.
Yeah, the preamp.
Yeah.
It's a Bartolini preamp. Pretty popular these days to have that on there. It gives you a lot of control over treble, mid-range, and bass. And the added feature on there that's not part of that preamp on that particular bass that's sitting next to you is it has the coil tap switches.
Okay.
So you can go single coil, you can go dual wired parallel, or you can do humbucking in series as well, which gives you a lot of tone variation.
And you're a player as well. You mentioned before that you obviously were looking at basses for yourself. When you designed the bass, it was for your own sound, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And tell us a bit about your playing history and how this bass applies to that, or multiple basses, right? You got different styles and different flavors.
The thing that's nice about these basses, my playing history, I'm kind of not your usual bass player. I like to do a lot of finger tapping, a lot of slap, and as well as finger style as well. So I need and want a bass that has a very large dynamic range to do everything that I like to do. I'm not so much a show-off bass player, like being out there in front. I like to take a lot of that stuff and make it very syncopated and incorporate it all into the groove of the song. Yeah. So you hear it, but you don't really notice it there. Basically doing the bass player's job. But anyway, the big thing there is the bass position and the comfort level. You commented about how light it is. Yeah,
that I was, just so you folks know, I got it. When Marty got here, I picked it up. I was like, oh my gosh. I like I said, it's going to be hard for you to leave this building with this bass, man. This is it's an awesome bass. It feels a lot lighter than, even some of I have a G&L and I have a Schecter that I use. And, sometimes those things, I'm a big boy, but they still can be weighty on my neck. And, I like to vary the tones quite a bit, and I try to find basses that have that. And that's what impressed me quite a bit with this. And then, for you folks out there, the scale of the neck, the thinness and then the fluidity on the neck it's blown me away. It's a different scale, it seems like, or a different feel than anything I've felt. Well, where did you come up with that design?
It's a standard 34-inch scale. When I shape the neck, it's all by hand. I use a wood rasp and I start going until it feels right to me. As far as, I have pretty small hands, I'm not a real big person. So the neck is a little thinner than probably not normal, but it's thin, more like an Ibanez kind of type neck. Yeah. But what you're also feeling in there is it's a little more narrow neck. The nut, right at the nut, the width of the neck is only 1.5 inches. Yeah. And it doesn't stray much from that by the time you get to the 24th fret. And
I really like that, compared to, say, like a Precision or something like that has these really wide necks. I'm able to get in there, and it didn't constrict me from doing any thumping. And we're going to kind of get into that in the second segment.
That's it exactly. The way I look at it, as a musician, your instrument shouldn't get in your way. Yeah, I guess it's kind of the approach I'm using.
Yeah. And so you mentioned the Rickenbackers, and I've always had this dream thing about playing Rickenbackers, and I seen one at Guitar Center the other day. I picked it up, and You know what? Pickups are not necessarily, now that I've been heavily playing, is not where I would like to see them. They get in the way of things. And then, of course, they had the big pickup cover in that thing.
Yeah.
Just completely blocks any kind of activity, with multiple finger styling. So,
yeah.
I'm appreciative that you kind of took it that direction. And style-wise, where would you say, each bass that I've seen kind of gets targeted towards a different type of feel and flavor. Where would you say that this bass is targeted?
This bass, unfortunately, I kind of get categorized into the boutique category, and you can do anything with these basses. You can play jazz, you can go funk with it. If you want to get nasty with it, you can open up the back. The preamp has a gain control.
Oh, wow.
Max that gain control, and it'll bark like nobody's business.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we always have to take a pause for the cause. We're going to be coming up here in a very short minute. What is the one sentence that you'd like to tell people about your bass? And then we'll be coming back to do a run through on it.
I would love it for everybody to at least try one out. It's an extremely, extremely comfortable instrument to play. And I think once you've played it, it'll change the way you think about musical instruments.
Well, you've won me over. Like I said, you had me in my hands. I see, it's like, wow, this thing, it's a beautiful bass, and I can't wait to put some pictures up online about it and show all you folks. So that is the music that lets us know that our commercial break is coming up. We'll be back with Mr. Marty Moore and David Chesavage very shortly, and I'm going to jam around on the bass a little bit. This is the WS Radio Networks that you're listening to. Be right back.
Thank you for listening to WS Radio. Improve your business and your life with useful information from experts and thought leaders. WS Radio is radio with ROI.
You may have heard me brag about Progressive Medical Center and just how much they've helped me with my health. And Dr. Goley, one thing that you have helped so many people with is migraines.
Unfortunately, there are millions and millions of Americans who are suffering with migraines and headaches, and they're debilitating because it affects the quality of their life, and they cannot function properly. At Progressive, we get to the root cause because we understand that migraines could be caused by nutritional deficiencies, hormonal imbalances, believe it or not, delayed food sensitivities. And once we determine what the real reason is, we put a plan of action together with medication that we get them off slowly, and we put them on an all-natural approach, and the results are amazing.
Incredible. I mean, there's so many people that can say they don't live their lives with migraines anymore thanks to Progressive Medical Center.
And that's what's exciting and rewarding to us as physicians, because we help our patients take control of their health, and that's why they're living well.
Why don't you get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today? Don't live in pain. Don't have migraines anymore. Just go to their website, progressivemedicalcenter.com.
This is your life. Live it well.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, VinVillage.com, where wine lovers connect. Be sure to tune in weekly to Vin Village Radio for exclusive, in-depth interviews with the who's who in wine and food.
In the military, things can change in an instant. At Navy Mutual Aid Association, we understand because it's our life too. That's why our dedication to serving the life insurance needs of our military veterans and their families is unrivaled. Navy Mutual offers superior life insurance protection without military service restrictions and limitations. A single focus on providing the peace of mind military families are looking for. That's what we do. Navy Mutual, insuring those who serve. Call 800-628-6011 or go to NavyMutual.org.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to the Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
We are back from commercial break. This is the Changing Stage, powered by the WS Radio Network. My name is Florentino. I'm with Marty and Dave, and we just want to give a shout out again to our great musical partner, Music Power / Guitar Trader here in San Diego. So we were just talking a bit about your history, about the gear that you have, you brought in here, some of the things you were inspired to, the reason why you designed these basses, and you're also, getting noticed at the NAMM show,
Yeah, absolutely.
for the Craigslist ad. So, with that said, what are some of the marketing channels that you're looking at going? We were talking a little bit about that.
Mainly what I've been doing is, the bass world's kind of small.
Yeah, it is.
Very niche oriented. And that's all I do is basses. So mainly what I've been doing is the Craigslist ads, website, of course.
Okay.
Facebook. Bass Player Live is a big venue for me.
Okay.
Very huge. That's coming up in November. I think it's the weekend of the 7th this year.
Okay.
And if you've never been, you got to go. It's NAMM for bass only.
It's funny. I'm a bass player, and I've never actually heard of it, so I need to. Thank you we're going to have to talk offline, and I'm going to have to get the information.
Absolutely. It's put on by Bass Player Magazine.
Okay.
And like I said, you go in there. It's 2 days, Saturday, Sunday, 10 o'clock or so in the morning until about 6 at night or whatever. And they have a SIR Studios in Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's all bass vendors. Everything you can imagine, from acoustic upright basses to boutique basses to Ibanez basses to, was it Koala or whatever the little acoustic ones are?
Oh, yeah. The ones where it's the rubber strings.
Yeah. Those guys, just everybody you can imagine. Michael Tobias is there.
Okay.
And then
I've met Michael.
They've also got, they got 4 or 5 clinic rooms running basically all day long. Biggest names in the business. And they usually have, on Saturday night, they usually have some sort of honorary concert. Last year they did Geezer Butler, gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award kind of type thing.
That's cool. So you've got these marketing channels, and now can you build a bass, in partnership with like an artist? Have you ever thought about doing something like that?
I could do that, yeah. Right now my approach has been, cause this is very much still evolving for me. So I've really just kind of been building the basses and putting them out there. I mean, at some point I imagine I will start doing some custom work, but to this point I haven't done any so far. This year, Bass Player Live last year, everybody loved the basses, but the big thing was, okay, when are you going to build a 5-string bass? When are you going to build a 5-string? Where's the 5-string? When's the 5-string coming? So I've spent basically the first half of this year working on a 5-string bass design. I built 3 or 4 different prototypes, different neck styles. 'Cause like I've said before, I personally don't really play 5-string bass, so I had to kind of figure out what it was that I wanted in a 5-string.
And similar with me, I've only played 4. I've entertained the idea of going to 5 because I like to go lower. I play funk and groove, so that's kind of my big thing. So I agree with you. But I've always been kind of a traditional when it came down to the strings.
Yeah, the neck was tough. The neck was real tough because I was trying to stay with a typical 0.75-inch string spacing at the bridge.
Okay.
But I want a 5-string, but I wanted to play like a 4-string. So the first design was 1.5 inches. Okay. I added a string basically to that neck, and I just made it a little wider back at the body.
Okay. And where did you get your knowledge to build the basses? Is it something you went to school? How did you learn all that?
Trial by fire. Read several books, and the internet is an overwhelming wealth of information on any subject you want. But from there it was just, it's just practice.
That's awesome. Well, I've strapped this beast on, though it's not really a beast. Like I said, it's really light. So, but it sounds like a beast, right? So, Mr. Pavelli, Paul Bearzeski, my producer here.
Yeah, you should be on.
Cool. A little over. Sounds smooth, plays like butter.
Some dirt on it.
That's I love this. I love the way it feels. Like I said, man, you're gonna have a hard time living with this. So let's kind of talk a little bit about the control of this. So you've got on the top level, you've got obviously volume control, and you can blend the pickups.
Yes, sir, that's correct. What I've been using right now is just Bartolini pickups and preamps. What you're playing right now has two Music Man style pickups in it. They're called quad coils. So basically, it's a humbucking pickup, but I have it wired so that you can go humbucking parallel, single coil, or humbucking series to get some different tone variations going in there. And then you have your typical treble, mid-range, and bass. There is a frequency select for the mid-range, which runs at 250, 500, and 800.
Are we able to get a little bit more volume out of it, Paul?
Yeah, try it.
Yeah, this is really smooth. So I was playing around, everybody, while you were mentioning that, with the all the different taps, and then the I guess it would be like a contour type of thing for the mid range. And right now I've got the bass, probably about up to I guess trying to use my clock idea. So I think about 45 after the hour, and then the mid range I roll back a little bit. Do you have the drive on that too much? We're using a pedal preamp. Go through.
Better?
Yeah, it's not better. I love this thing, man. This is. I'm sorry, folks. I started getting into the zone. I forgot I had a radio show going on.
It's a one-way conversation.
Exactly. Let's go into the. We've got a music studio here, Paul. Let's go over there, man. So, very cool. And are you doing any marketing outside of the U.S. with this?
No, not at this time. I'm still a fairly new business. I started doing this about 5 years ago.
Okay.
For myself, and I only officially became a business last fall.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So I'm assuming you don't really have any endorsees or anything like that just yet. You're building up the business. If you could have certain players, who are the players that inspire you, and who would you like to see use this lovely piece of gear?
Bass players that inspired me were Geddy Lee, Dave LaRue, Stanley Clark, the usual fare. As far as the people I would like to see use these instruments, I really built these basses for regular working musicians. That's why I'm desperately trying to keep the prices as low as I can. on them, because I don't want this to be a bass that ends up in a boutique shop and somebody pays $8,000 for it, and and they take it home and it basically hangs on the wall and they don't really use it. I want these basses to be used, and so that's why, like I said, I'm trying to keep prices as affordable as I possibly can.
With that said, what are you looking at price point for? You've got two different basses. Now you have another one that has more of a jazz bass pickup. So. Yeah,
that one has single coil pickups in it. Same preamp, only single coil pickups instead. The price point on the 4-string right now is $2,650.
Okay. That's very, for the, that plays like I said, Fedoras that can be upwards in $5,000, $8,000 to $10,000.
Absolutely. And these particular ones are actually priced even better. They're actually $2,000.
Oh wow. Okay.
Because they're demo models. Basically, at Bass Player Live, they had a little bit of abuse thrown at them. They were played a lot. So no, they're in perfectly good shape. But they are going for a lot less. Prices will probably eventually go up.
Okay.
Just because wood costs are going up.
Yeah, they have to. So. And then your time, man. I mean, I imagine these things take, a lot of time.
Yeah.
When you make them, they're like your babies, so I can definitely see. I know it must be hard, man. If I made this bass, I'd have a hard time saying, here, buy it for $2,000. And
it's hard to let go. I look at all of them as though they're mine.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of hard to let go.
It's like adopting out your children, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hey, we've got another break for our sponsors here. This is Florentino on the Changing Stage, powered by WS Radio Networks in partnership with Music Power and the Guitar Trader. Just want to have you guys come on, stay tuned to come on back.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Love to read but just don't have the time? With Audible.com, you can catch up on reading simply by listening. Audible has the largest collection of digital audiobooks, over 85,000 titles in every genre. Listen to a bestseller on your iPhone, BlackBerry, Android smartphone, or one of 500 other compatible devices. Visit audible.com/WS Radio today and get a free audiobook when you try Audible free for 14 days. That's audible.com/WS Radio.
You've heard me bragging about Progressive Medical Center and how they've helped me feel so much healthier. But one thing, Dr. Agoli, that a lot of people come to you with is just unexplained pain. They just can't get any relief. Why can Progressive Medical Center's Pain Management Center help them?
First of all, we have to acknowledge that pain is for real, and you've got acute pain and chronic pain. Here's the problem. That acute pain turns to chronic, which is long-standing, and no one's getting to the root cause. There's several key diagnostic components that help us get to the root of what's causing this pain. Is it inflammation? Once we do a thorough evaluation to get the root cause, determine if it's structural or if it's a metabolic issue. And this way, we put an individualized program for pain management involving correcting the spine, using certain injections when necessary, and we get our patients out of pain quicker, and they stay out of pain because we teach them how to live their life well.
Don't let yourself live in pain any longer. Get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today at progressivemedicalcenter.com.
Progressive Medical, this is your life, live it well.
When it comes to printers, Canon technology has changed the way images and text are put to paper. Canon's laser beam printer technology has redefined both color and black and white printing standards in over 80% of the world's laser printer. Canon's bubble jet printing technology has completely revolutionized color printing by consistently delivering new innovations from personal use and home office businesses to corporate solutions. Canon printers have the technology and reliability you're looking for. Learn more at Canon.com.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to the Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
We are back. This is the Changing Stage, powered by WS Radio Network. My name is Florentino. We are here with Marty Moore and David Chesavage of OB Digital and Moore Bases, respectively, between their different names. So we're going to actually talk with Dave now a little bit about his company. We had him on probably about maybe a little less than a month ago, and it was a fun time. It was just not enough time, so we wanted to kind of explore a little bit more what's going on with OB Digital. You've got this great gear, and you've been selling. Let's kind of do a recap of what we talked about before. Where's the company? What kind of inspired you, and where are you going?
Gotcha. Yeah, thanks for having me back. Well, I guess like Marty, I'm the bane of my existence is the weight of the keyboard of choice 2, which would be a Hammond B3, which weighs about 450 pounds.
I was complaining about bases being heavy. Now that
an 8-pound bass is like nothing compared to that. So, and over the years, there's been a number of electronic keyboards that have tried to emulate the Hammond organ sound.
Yeah.
Right now, one of the best ones out there is made by a Swedish company, and they're called their company's called Kavia, but the product line is called Nord.
Yeah.
So there's the Nord Electro, which does electric pianos and Rhodes and Hammond. They also have a specific organ-only instrument, and they also have an instrument called the Stage, which also includes a synthesizer and wavetable synthesis.
Okay.
And so that's what I gig with. And the one issue with the Nord is that instead of having the real-time sliding drawbar controls, they've got these little push buttons. And anyone who came up playing Hammond just hates those push buttons.
Yeah,
hates is a strong word, but it's quite an adjustment to make because an organ, you just kind of reach over, grab drawbars. You don't even have to look at what you're doing. It's very intuitive. And so I wanted a drawbar controller that would work well with the Nord, and none existed at the time. And so I embarked on building one for myself and built a pretty hideous looking prototype. And which
I see you brought it in.
Yeah, I think I brought it in last time.
I thought it looked pretty cool. It had the industrial look.
Yeah, sporty. It's sporty. It was a piece of it was a cast aluminum enclosure, and I used a jigsaw to kind of saw all the slots in it. And but I mentioned it on a Yahoo group, and we were talking about the power of the internet earlier. I mentioned on a Yahoo group that I had built this thing. And I just started getting inundated with emails from people all around the world saying, can you build one for me? And so I sat down and made an Excel spreadsheet and tried to figure out, I don't know how, starting up a manufacturing operation from nothing, but, just kind of put one foot in front of the other. And the next step was the knob. It's actually I went through every knob catalog you could imagine, trying to find a knob that looked like a Hammond drawbar knob, and none existed. And through Craigslist, actually, I found a mechanical engineer who could make a SolidWorks drawing. I gave him a Hammond organ knob and said, it needs to be shaped like this, but it needs to fit on a standard fader shaft. And he made a SolidWorks drawing, and then I emailed the drawing up to a company up in Anaheim who printed out the parts. And it's amazing. It's like you mail this thing off and you give them a credit card number, and in 3 days later you get an envelope in the mail that has your new part in it. And and then from that prototype, then find a company that could actually do an injection mold and go from there.
That's powerful. What's kind of cool? I've been talking with you gentlemen here, and the fact that we have you guys in our backyard here in San Diego. I think that sometimes as musicians we get caught up in the fact that, oh, I've got to be a rock star, I've got to be a player, I've got to do this, and you can still carry the passion on and innovate in the industry. And that's something that's really powerful. And I think that's one of the things that I see. You'd think some big giant corporation, OB Digital, should be this big corporation that, how are we going to make X amount of dollars on these widgets? And when it comes down to it, you're a guy who said, hey, I have a need. I have a passion. I need to explore that. And I want to share that with other people. Obviously, you need to make a profit, but you want to do it at a place where it's a powerful experience. So, as you guys know, we've talked about it before. Most of my listeners are people like us, maybe getting into the business, maybe been around in the business for a little while, and the fact that they can see other alternatives besides just trying to be that rock star, because maybe that's not what would be your dream when you finally get there. We've heard the tales of the Kurt Cobains and other folks.
Right.
So, my rant and rave for now, but I just been inspired by the fact that you can do other things. So now with that, you've sold quite a few of these, actually.
Yeah, it's 700 or so. And the first, I'd have to look in QuickBooks to tell you for sure. But when I initially started selling, I was selling them directly off the website.
I didn't ask for your financial report before you got in here. No, of course not.
Well, QuickBooks has all my, I can't keep track of numbers anymore.
Yeah.
There's a serial, I don't know how old this unit is. This is like 200 and something, but I think this was actually the one that got sent to Keyboard Magazine for review, actually, which is why it's not in finished goods.
From what I understand, it went pretty good. So what did Keyboard Magazine say about it?
They had caught, wind of there was buzz about the instrument or about the controller.
Yeah.
And so I didn't approach them. They approached me and said, hey, we heard about this thing. We'd love to do a little write-up on it. And so I sent them a unit to review, and there's a link to it on the website. I forget when it came out, but it came out about 2 years ago.
Okay.
And, and they reviewed it, and they, did a nice write-up, and they had some good, constructive criticism of it, as well as some good praise of it. And it just helped, for one thing, it helped legitimize the product a little bit more, because again, as a new company, you're the new kid, you're the outsider looking in sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so that gave, a little bit of credibility. And in fact, it was on the heels of that the Sweetwater deal happened, and they had a number of requests from customers saying, hey, do you guys carry this product? Do you guys carry this product? And so they contacted me, actually, and so that's how I got into got Sweetwater to carry it.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Have you gotten any feedback from Nord themselves about it?
I did. I actually talked to them at NAMM before I even released it, because, I'd go to NAMM every year, and I stopped by the booth and talked to their product manager, this guy Thomas, and, introduced myself and shook his hand and said, hello, I'm, my name's Dave, and I'm making this drawbar. And he kind of he takes a step back, goes, oh, you're the famous guy from the internet. And I said, oh, am I famous? And so we talked a little bit, and actually it was very nice. I wasn't sure, are they going to throw me out of their booth? Right. Are they going to, give me a bear hug or something in between, and basically what he said was like, well, we're interested in what you're doing. We can't really endorse you, but we're not going to, good luck, basically. Good luck and a handshake is where it stood. So, and I stop by and say hello to them, every year. And about, I guess 2 or 3 years ago, they showed up at NAMM with a keyboard that had drawbars very much like these on it.
Oh.
And so it's and actually after that, so did Hammond. So the Hammond has a new keyboard that, because traditional drawbars are on a stick that disappears into the back of the console.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And no one had done drawbars like on a fader like this. And so, Nord did this now. Hammond does it. Studio Logic does it with their keyboards. So, like, there's all these, keyboards.
It's gotta make you feel kind of good, though.
Well, yeah, exactly. As I changed the world without getting rich in the process. But yeah, it was kind of a vindication of sorts. But Nord only puts drawbars on their 61-note keyboards. So they make an organ, strictly two manual 61-note, which is 5 octaves.
Yeah.
So that has drawbars. And then they have an Electro that the 61-note version has drawbars, but the bigger ones, the 73s, which is their top seller, still has push buttons, and the 88 still have push buttons.
Now, we mentioned Nord, but they're not the only game in town that your gear works with, right?
That's correct. In fact, the Craigslist ad that we met, that sounds so disreputable, but I had Roland came out with a new keyboard.
Promise I wasn't advertising about wearing a little Bo Peep outfit, and Dave answered that question. No, I'm joking. They don't even have those ads anymore. God bless Craig, because he's definitely made it possible for really cool people to connect up. So.
Yeah, he really is. He's a classy guy.
Yeah.
But they Roland came out with a keyboard that they showed at NAMM this year that it's a small keyboard that has a gazillion sounds in it, and it has Hammond organ sounds in it too that have, internally the instrument has drawbars, but there's no external controls to get at them. And so I received a number of requests to implement, can you control Nord keyboards? And so, Roland FA06 keyboards. And so I put an ad on Craigslist, just, hey, does anyone out there have one of these? Because I've built this thing. And I ended up actually, of all places, at Guitar Center. And I went in and said, hey, explained what I made. And can I rent one was the first thing, because I'm not going to be a guy that goes and buys it and returns it a week later. That would be an uncool thing to do. But I just want to rent the thing. And we're not really renting these out. But you know what? Why don't you come on a Tuesday morning when the store is empty and just, camp out with your laptop, and we don't really care. So that's what I did. I went out to the Guitar Center out in Grossmont and had some MIDI analysis software to figure out what MIDI commands, because Roland doesn't use a standard MIDI command for their drawbars. They're using system exclusive.
Oh yeah.
So I had to figure out what those were and see if it responded to the same ones it sent out. And so that's kind of how I did my debug work, was in the keyboard room at Guitar Center.
Yeah, you kind of have to be like the MacGyver of trying to figure all this stuff out.
Yeah, it's always a hustle. It's always a hustle trying to, get the job done.
That's why I'm just, always floored by you guys that are, innovative entrepreneurs that are making it happen. And, we appreciate you guys coming out. We're going to be coming to a commercial segment. This is The Changing Stage. Actually, we got one more segment after this, so stay tuned.
This is Bill Gruber with BizVid Communications, a Southern California video production leader. We've been honored to sponsor, produce, write, and host many of the fine programs on WS Radio over the years. So we understand how important the internet and your website exposure are. As video producers, we know the tricks and secrets to incorporate video to increase your search engine optimization and business success. Visit bizvidcommunications.com to see what we can do for you. BIZVID communications.com.
Did you know the majority of radio listeners are between the ages of 35 and 54, have a household income of more than $100,000, are classified as executives or professionals, and share the show they listen to? Become part of the Peggy Smedley Show to reach listeners looking for information on connected devices through cost-effective radio commercials or segment sponsorships. Contact us at 630-933-0844 for more information, or visit PeggySmedleyShow.com.
You've heard me bragging about Progressive Medical Center and how they've helped me feel so much healthier. But one thing, Dr. Agoli, that a lot of people come to you with is just unexplained pain. They just can't get any relief. Why can Progressive Medical Center's Pain Management Center help them?
First of all, we have to acknowledge that pain is for real, and you've got acute pain and chronic pain. Here's the problem. That acute pain turns to chronic, which is long-standing, and no one's getting to the root cause. There's several key diagnostic components that help us get to the root of what's causing this pain. Is it inflammation? Once we do a thorough evaluation to get the root cause, determine if it's structural or if it's a metabolic issue. And this way, we put an individualized program for pain management involving correcting the spine, using certain injections when necessary, and we get our patients out of pain quicker, and they stay out of pain because we teach them how to live their life well.
Don't let yourself live in pain any longer. Get a hold of Progressive Medical Center today at progressivemedicalcenter.com.
Progressive Medical, this is your life, live it well.
I have some good news for a change. With the stressful times upon us, having a regular glass of wine has proved in many studies to reduce stress. Want some more stress-relieving tips? VinVillage.com is an exciting new social organization connecting wine lovers around the country with an exclusive local and online wine lifestyle experience. Vin Village members can meet others online and in person, attend wine dinners and tastings, participate in forums, blogs, and wikis, purchase limited and exclusive wines, even create your own wine. You heard me. Create your own wine. And best yet, membership is free. So reduce some of the stress and have some fun. Join now and connect with thousands of other like-minded wine lovers. To learn more, go to vinvillage.com. That's www.vinvillage.com. Vin Village is where wine lovers connect.
Talk to me.
Information, news, and entertainment on demand.
WSRadio.com.
Welcome to the Changing Stage, music gear talk from the manufacturers and musicians who define the biz. Here's your host, Florentino Buenaventura.
And we are back for the fourth segment of The Changing Stage, powered by WS Radio Network. My name is Florentino, and we have a great partnership with Music Power and Guitar Trader. So make sure you go to musicpower.com or head on out to Guitar Trader over in the Claremont Convoy area. And we are here now with both Dave and Marty back again. So we've been talking about the business. We've got these great conversations in between the segments too. I wish we were recording those. But it's challenging right now in the music business. We know that with the selling records, it's such a dynamic change from what it was before back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, 90s, and then now 2000 and 2010. You've got to, there's a lot of dancing you got to do with different medias and mediums and medium verticals, and there's so many different outlets, and I would imagine the same thing for the independent music gear maker. You've got a chance where you probably wouldn't have had a chance before because you would have had to spend just to get that kind of exposure, a ton of money on terrestrial radio and terrestrial TV and newspapers. Now you've got some opportunities. What's that kind of like for you guys right now? What are some of the challenges that you guys face?
Biggest thing for me is the larger manufacturers. There's a lot of this stuff is produced overseas. They're using all computer-aided manufacturing techniques and stuff like that. So obviously they can build it way cheaper than I can.
Yeah.
I'm just barely trying to make a living is all. So that's one of the biggest things that I face right there. It's just the price point.
Gotcha.
And it's the same on, my end too. I mean, even though that this is largely machine manufactured, it's done in very low volumes. It's done here in the U.S. And, if this was, if I was to go to, China with it or something and, do it injection molded, it would cost a fraction of what it does. But, part of it is just philosophically, it's not what I wanted to do. It's not the direction I wanted to go. It requires a ton of upfront money.
Yeah.
And fortunately for this product, there's nothing out there that does it. So I've got a little bit of protection in that regard that I don't know if, I don't think any other companies can be crazy enough to launch off into the MIDI drawbar accessory business. So.
Yeah, but you got to be careful, right? We won't mention any names, but if you actually show your gear to companies, they might actually emulate that in some other stuff, right?
Yeah, and I mean, certainly that could pop up in other ways. Certainly the way that, the drawbar design on this, has been paid homage to in newer instruments
by other companies. We won't mention any names, but it's definitely a challenge. With that said, and I find that you guys are out there being innovative, and that's one of the things that we want to do with the show is really kind of show our audiences that stuff that they wouldn't normally be able to or readily see, say on a typical Guitar Center type of website where it's all the mainstay stuff.
In many ways, it's easier to do this stuff now than it's ever been before. I mean, it's kind of the joke is before the internet, how did anything get done?
Yeah.
But at the same time, now that we have the internet, how does anybody get anything done?
Yeah.
Now, do you guys do any advertising on the internet? Do you do like, the Facebook ads and stuff?
Yeah, I've never done like the click-through ads, the Google search terms. I mean, in my case, I got so lucky in that there was a little bit of a buzz that caused the Google search, and it had gotten mentioned independently enough on a bunch of different websites. So if you type Nord drawbars in their Google, it's like blam, like it's the first hit. And actually Sweetwater does pay for a click-through ad. So if you go searching for this, like I've got an ad blocker, so I don't really see what comes up. But if you turn the ad blocker off, the little banner ads that come up, a lot of them are Sweetwater's click-through ads, which is great. So, they have a much more savvy online marketing machine than I have at my disposal.
Yeah. Now, Marty, you kind of got a different challenge because you're not mass producing. Obviously, you can't do that as hand built. And there's quite a bit of boutique based manufacturing, or building, I should say, not manufacturing, because it's a labor of love for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you see? Have you talked to other custom builders like yourself, and what do you hear from them about the business?
Yeah, actually, at the last Bass Player Live, I had a nice conversation with Michael Tobias. And we
sweet guy. I've met him. Yeah, just really nice guy.
Super awesome guy, man. He came over. He was nice enough to come over and talk to me for like 30 minutes about my basses and about the business. I mean, most guys won't. Yeah, most guys won't do that.
Yeah, guys who basically legends in the business. They're so focused on what they're going to do next. But I found that. I met him at NAMM, and actually we've talked about having him on the show at some point. We're just working on scheduling, but he's a great guy.
Yeah, he's a super great guy, super knowledgeable, and I appreciated all the advice he gave me. And basically he told me that I was crazy to do this, which I absolutely believe in. But he walked away saying, he said, just keep doing what you're doing. He said, if this is what you want to do, he said, just keep going. So I took that as a word of encouragement.
Yeah. Well, he's been through a lot of those things as well.
Oh yeah. I remember he told me that he started out, him and a buddy of his that were building the basses, they were like going to gigs after, and just begging these guys, here, try this bass, play it, So.
Yeah. It sounds like everybody starts in that same place. So,
Yeah, a buddy of mine told me a story as he was walking in NAMM show in 1987. There's this guy who had a couple of guitars. They were custom guitars. He was just trying to get somebody to play them. He was having a hard time even bringing them in. He was like, they were kind of falling down. So my buddy helped him bring them in. Turned out it was Paul Reed Smith. So we know how that worked out for him, right?
And it was Santana. Again, it was Santana. Like put him on the map.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I think that there's always a chance for you to catch that wave and get to the next level. And, it's cool that we have a lot of these great companies. We had, coincidentally, we had More Sound on, which they make boutique amps for, guitar players that want that screaming sound. There's, we've had Carvin come up out of here for many years, and Taylor. So we've got some really cool companies that have, come out of here. And, we've got about a minute and 40 seconds left. We've talked about the business. I want to talk about where the passions came from. So, Dave, you play Monday nights over at Winston's, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So since October, I've been playing every Monday night at Winston's with the Electric Waste Band. And I'm actually into other bands, too. So the band, I originally came to San Diego to go to UCSD.
Okay.
And so the band I was in there, that formed when I was there was called the Travel Agents. And that band's still going too I think the new guy has been in the band for about 20 years now. So it's been the same basic lineup for a long time, and we're still playing. And,
I still keep saying I gotta make it on a Monday. Mondays are always tough for me because I'm always trying to wrap up. And you're not playing right now, Marty, but it's a passion that still calls out to you, right?
Oh, absolutely. I play at home, and if I could find the right situation, I would absolutely be out playing again.
Well, they definitely come out. In fact, Eric over at Music Power used to be in the band the Monroes. I don't know if you guys remember those guys from the 80s. They had a hit, and they came right from San Diego. And they were on the Mike Douglas show. I got a chance to see them, and they were part of that new wave scene. So San Diego definitely produces some good talent. We've had Blink 182 as well, POD. I think Unwritten Laws from here, Slightly Stupid. So we've got some great talent to go along with these great gear manufacturers. So with that said, again, we are down to the last few seconds here. Gentlemen, do you want to say anything to anybody before we leave?
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. It's great.
Yeah, same thing. This has been really fun. Thanks for putting us on.
It's always fun. Again, this is The Changing Stage, powered by WS Radio Network. My name is Florentino, and I give a big shout out to our folks over at Music Power and Guitar Trader. You guys rock. Thanks again, guys. Come back next week, and we're going to actually have the Monroes on then next week.
Hey, this is Heidi Rue, and Progressive Medical Center has literally changed my life and my health, but I'm not the only one. Adele suffered from bone deterioration, bone overgrowth, profound muscle discomfort, physical exhaustion, and mental fog. In fact, the bone deterioration became so serious that she had to have back surgery. Well, after the surgery, she still didn't feel well, and so that's when she heard about Progressive Medical Center. Progressive Medical Center discovered that her adrenals weren't working properly, her hormones were out of whack, and the drugs she had been taking were doing more harm than good. Adele came into Progressive Medical Center in a walker, physically and mentally exhausted. But now she's a world traveler. She hikes and walks several miles a day, and it's all thanks to Progressive Medical Center. 770-676-6000. 770-676-6000.
Progressive Medical. This is your life. Live it well.
Take a break from politics. Tune in and learn something. WS Radio shows are worth your time and are filled with tips and advice. Add us to your lunch routine, and we'll give you a meal for your mind. Connected World Magazine is dedicated to reporting on the next generation of M2M and connected devices. Subscribe today for only $12.97 at connectedworldmag.com/subscribe. Written for the fast-paced, device-enthused individual or business, Connected World Magazine provides unique insight and analysis to all things connected. Subscribe today for only $12.97 at connectedworldmag.com/subscribe. Connected World. Living the connected life has never been easier.
Do you want to be a professional coach? Are you in business trying to make a real difference with people you manage or work with? Have you started a coaching practice that isn't quite getting off the ground? Get the skills you need to be a successful coach today with the Coaches Training Program from Accomplishment Coaching. The Coaches Training Program will show you how to help others focus and be more fulfilled. Whether you want to improve your company's bottom line or create a thriving coaching practice, Accomplishment Coaching can give you the distinctions and practices you need to coach others effectively today. Accomplishment Coaching has spent 6 years developing a cutting-edge coaches training program that will have you ready to coach people professionally in just 12 months, and you don't have to take time off work to do it. To find out more about the Coaches Training Program, just call 1-888-548-6813. That's 1-888-548-6813.
Hi, this is Felix Taberna, host of Race and Sports Radio. Join our cast and crew every Saturday and Sunday right here at WSRadio.com, beginning at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. Race and Sports Radio.